I get asked this question all the time. How do you keep on top of your work? Like, what's your system? What's your workflow? I find that I just can't keep on top of my to-do list. Like, how do you make sure that you stay on top of the things that are important? And the thing is, like, I don't know, this might seem like a really underrated skill, but being able to manage your priorities, manage your time, it is so essential, particularly as you ascend into more senior leadership positions, because as you grow, your workload grows, the decisions you have to make grow, but your time diminishes. So you have to learn how to manage your time really well. As a senior leader and a mum, this is even more important to me because I don't want work to bleed into my personal time. And I am, like, use me as an example. I am someone who is very senior but doesn't work more than the 40-hour week. So use this as inspiration, but also use this to teach yourself the skills that you need to know. And I want to teach you how you can keep on top of your workload without being overworked and without being overwhelmed. So I'm going to take you through some pretty simple steps. But these are things that I do now. Honestly, they're things that I do sort of subconsciously. But they are things that, again, like these are skills that I have learned over time. These are skills that I have learned through my working career. And these are things that you just need to know. You just have to be able to do these. So to kick off, step one, when it comes to keeping on top of your work, the first thing is every day you should start your day by asking yourself this question. What are the 3 most important things to do today? So what this does, it helps center your day. Sorry, I'm just going to format this because I want this to look a little different. Like, this is the most important question that you can ask yourself every day. What are the 3 most important things to do today? And they're also called your MITs. What I recommend to people is that you literally take, 5 minutes, ask yourself this question at the start of every day, and then write them down. And the reason you want to write them down is because the act of writing them down makes it much more likely that you're actually going to do them. So you can do it as, you could put them onto sticky notes, right? Where you can go, imagine that this is a sticky note on your desk, not on a laptop. And you could simply write them down. So let's say that you are, working in a research role. And in terms of the 3 most important things you have to do today, one is you want to complete a research brief to an agency. A second might be you are onboarding a team member. So you want to write the onboarding doc for the new team member. And the third is you are running a workshop next week and you need to confirm the attendees. Or maybe you're running a workshop in a few weeks' time. But let's just say those are the 3 most important things that you want to do. As I said, first step is just ask yourself this question. Take the 5 minutes and then write those three things down. Then what you're going to do, let's call it step 1A, is ask yourself another important question. But what are the 3 most important projects to be aware of for this week? So what this does is this question here helps you identify what is important today. And it just helps you ground yourself in, do you know what, if I just tick off these 3 things today, like, I'm flying. This second question helps you think about the future and helps you sort of recognize what things might be coming up that you just need to have in your mind for the week. So this could be, let's say, again, you're working in a research role. This could be something like, if you're onboarding a team member, you know that actually one of the most important projects or most important things to be thinking about for the week is just onboarding in general. Second could be the workshop that you're running in a few weeks' time. Workshop for next fortnight. And another thing you might be working on is you could be running ideation training for the team. And that's something that you know is coming up in your future. You don't have to act on it today, but you know that you're going to have to plan for it over the next week. So that's how I recommend starting your day and starting your week. to help, like honestly, block out the first 30 minutes of your Monday. Block out the first 30 minutes of your Monday and ask yourself these questions. And then block out the first 10 minutes of every day after that and ask yourself at least this question. This one you can just ask yourself on a Monday, but this one ask yourself every day. And one of the things that you can end up with, so yes, you could just like write these out on sticky notes. What I also recommend is you might end up with like a piece of paper that has this is going to be my Canva skills on show, but you'll have something like this. Is there not an easy way to make that 90 degrees? It could be. Anyway. Oh my God. Okay, let's try that again. Will she edit that bit out? I'm unsure. All right, so you could have a sheet of paper that has your 3 MITs on one side and your 3 projects for this side. So write them down. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be like people don't like using paper anymore. It can be digital. It doesn't have to be written down on paper, but just write it down, whether it's like on your laptop, in your laptop, whether it's on a sticky note, whether it's on a physical sticky note, just write them down. You can end up with something like this, stick it on your desk, super visible. So once you've done that, what I then recommend is step 2. So now you know your priorities. What you want to do is chunk it down. So this is for if you have any like big pieces of work and it's a big, like let's say for instance, you were just starting on the research brief, but you know that that's going to take you time to write. You know that that's like a few hours, maybe even half a day. The next thing that you need to do is chunk down the work. And the reason for this is actually because it's a prerequisite for the next step. And when we go through the next step, it'll make sense. But basically you want to break down project work into like blocks of work that make it easy to know what you need to get done. This will become a little bit more obvious when we go into the next step. So the problem that people will make is, sorry, the mistake that people will make is at this step, they'll write down like really chunky piece of work, like a finished analysis report or do analysis report, but it's too big. You need to chunk things down. So here's an example, right? So we had, what did we have up here? We had ideation training. Okay. Let's say you know that you've got to work on ideation training. Here's one version of writing this like workout for yourself. You just give yourself, you know that it's going to take you roughly 8 hours of work to get together all the stuff that you need to do for the ideation training that you're running. Let's say, maybe it's 4 hours, whatever. What people will do is they'll just say, okay, I need to do the ideation training. That's too overwhelming a task. And when you then have the time to actually start working on it, it's too overwhelming and you don't know where to start. So rather than starting or just writing down, okay, I've got to do ideation training, what I recommend is that you chunk it down into the bits of work that's required in order to get that project done. So for instance, let's say, actually, before you do this, what you want to do, when it's something big, you first want to ask yourself, when's it due? Let's say you're doing this on the 12th of May and how long you think it's going to take you. So let's say it's going to take you 4 hours of work. You sort of want to estimate how long these like bigger projects are going to take you, because in the next step, you're going to chunk these into your diary. So let's say you think it's going to take you 4 hours of work, and you know it's due on the 12th of May. So what's today? Today is the 19th of April. So you need to find a 4-hour chunk between now and the 12th of May to get this done. But actually, what I also recommend is add 20 to 30%, because we always underestimate the work. So let's say that now equals 5 hours. All right, so you need to break this down into chunks across 5 hours, and you're going to block them into your diary. So what this could then look like is, rather than having, I'm just going to move my head so I can do this properly. So rather than having one big chunk of, okay, I need to do ideation training, you split it up into like these smaller tasks. So the small one might be the admin, like find out the attendees, book it in, and book into calendars. I want these a bit smaller. There we go. I should give it space. Cool. There we go. All right. Second thing might be you write down, you design the training. So you've got like the objectives, the flow, the agenda. The next might be you write the content. And then the final is you organize the activities, which are within the workshop. But you can see I've chunked down all the different tasks that are required. And this is helpful for the next step, which is step 3. You're going to block it into your diary. So here's what a lot of people do. They'll write a to-do list, and then they'll just use that to-do list as their to-do list. But actually the best workflow is to, as I said, work out your 3 most important tasks. If you need to, chunk them down into manageable pieces of work, and then you want to block it into your diary, and you then use your diary and your calendar as your to-do list. So I'm going to show you my hacks for this. So I use Outlook, and you can do the same thing in Google. But in Outlook, when you're on your calendar, you can toggle this on so that you can see these tasks on the right-hand side of your calendar. It's up here. See this like little tick thing here. And basically you can fill in your tasks here. You can see I've already done it. I've like done the 3 MITs, and I've done 3 projects that I know I need to be aware of. And once you have that toggled on, you can drag and drop these into your calendar. And so let's say I know that MIT 2 is going to take me an hour. I'm going to block it into my calendar here. This is obviously not a real calendar because it's completely blank. If you saw my work calendar, it might make you cry. But this here is like you just drag and drop it. What this does is it means you don't have to remember all of the work that you have to do. It's just in your calendar. It's done there for you. And this is just a very, very simple way of making sure you stay on top of your work. The other handy thing in Outlook is what you can do. You'll have, when you have email, so if you're in the old version of Outlook, what you could do is you can flag an email and it will automatically show up over here. This new version doesn't do it anymore. But say you have emails that you know are tasks that you need to do. What you can do is drag and drop them into your tasks over here. See, that showed up now as no subject. And then you can drag that into your calendar as well. So use your calendar as your to-do list rather than having a to-do list that you're constantly referencing. And this will just make sure that you do all the tasks before they're due. Okay, so that's step 3. And that's, when you know, what are my priorities for today? What are my priorities for the week? What do I need to think about this week? You're going, these are the most important things I need to do today, or these are the most important things I need to think about this week. And you start to block them into your diary. And then step 4 is capture any additional tasks and map them in. So as tasks come in, as I said, like if it's an email, you can drag it into your to-dos over here and then put it into your calendar. If it's just a new task that comes up, you can just add it into your tasks over here and plan it in. But you just add things in as they come up. One of the things I didn't mention is for your in an ideal world, this is planned for the week ahead, and you sort of have a good idea for what this is going to look like for the next week. So as I said, on a Monday morning, what you would actually want to do is block out 30 minutes of planning time so you can work out like what your week ahead is going to look like, and you can start to block out time for each of these projects that you know you need to be worried about for the future. But as I said, you've already chunked these down into like working blocks. So you chunk it down, you block it in, and then you're ready to go. So that's it in terms of the workflow. I have a few tips as well, though, that I want you to be aware of. So let me. Here we go. Let's use this fella. Okay. So tip number 1. The first thing is only plan roughly 70% of your calendar. So i.e. keep about 30% of it free. Why? Because fires will come up. Like you will try and plan your whole day. Sorry, if you plan your whole week, and then something urgent comes in, you'll freak out because you won't know how to fit it into your calendar. So plan your calendar to about 70% and just keep 30% of it free. Another tip is, as I said, block 30 minutes every Monday to do your planning for the week. And also at the end of every day, write down your 3 MITs for the next day. So write your 3 MITs for tomorrow. What this does, so there is a saying, an hour of planning saves 10 hours of doing. If you spend the time, if you just like invest the time to plan, you will save yourself time in the long run. Another tip is to use your calendar as your to-do list. I already went through this, but basically if you write it down and it's in your calendar, like you don't need another to-do list because it's already there. So that's going to make sure that you stay on top of everything. And then the last one is don't leave tasks too broad, break them down. If you just blocked in ideation training, like prepare for ideation training, it's going to take you, like you're gonna get to that time in your calendar and you're not gonna know what to do. So you want to try and make it really, really frictionless and just have these things already broken down in your calendar and have it in the actual body of the invite. So when you get to it, you already know exactly what you need to do. So that's it. That's my workflow. It's like, I don't know, it kind of seems simple, right? But basically, to keep on top of your work, just build in these habits. Every day, ask yourself this question: what are the 3 most important things to do today? Write them down, whether it's on a post-it, digital, or whatever it is. But also ask yourself the question: what are the 3 most important projects that I need to be aware of this week? Write them down onto something like this. And look, if this is the only thing you do, this will help you exponentially because you will start to focus on the things that matter. Then for any big projects or big pieces of work, chunk them down. So ask yourself, like, when is it due? How much time am I going to need for this? And what are the chunks of work that I can break this down into? Block it into your diary. Use the tasks on the right-hand side so they're always visible, and use your diary as your to-do list. And then as new things come up, just capture them as additional tasks and map them into your calendar as well. And I had some tips, but that's it. That's honestly, it is that simple. Use this, like implement it from tomorrow. It will save you so much time for the future.